Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about a particular meditation which is known as a contemplative meditation. It is also known as a thoughtful meditation. Generally we avoid thought process or any kind of thought or ideas during meditation, but in this particular meditation we focus on thinking process to know some particular reality. So here we have to understand that the objective of meditation is not to acquire physical goodness alone, but to acquire total psychical goodness by eradicating all evil from one's thoughts, speech and action. It is a process of remedying inner incompleteness and reducing inner discord. To achieve this objective, the system of praksha meditation has two types of meditation. One is called concentration of perception and the other one is concentration of thought. They are known as praksha and anupraksha respectively. In the first type of meditation, perception and awareness are primarily used for concentration. Thinking is considered a distraction and is banished as far as possible. In the second type of meditation, the conscious mind is encouraged to engage itself in a thinking process, that is contemplation. Perception and contemplation both awaken, develop practitioners' conscious reasoning and thereby modify one's attitude and behavior. Contemplation is sometimes defined as religious meditation, which is non-discursive or intuitive and mostly mystical. But in praksha meditation system, contemplation is both discursive as well as intuitive. It means research and deliberate reflection for truth and reality. Just as impartial, objective and concentrated perception is considered as a meditation, a totally impartial and objective contemplation bereft of subjective prejudices and emotions is also considered a meditation. Contemplation therefore is search for truth by a single point mental faculty engaged in reflecting upon the reality, eliminating all that is mere appearance or illusion. It consists in concentrating on the entire mental faculty in searching truth and nothing else. The process of contemplation banishes all memories, eliminates all ideas and conceptions except one on which it is focused. Full concentration on a single mental conception becomes contemplative meditation, and this is an efficient process of ascertaining the reality. It therefore becomes a powerful tool for realizing the truth. Whenever one concentrates on a particular topic or word or an object and takes a purely objective view, that banishes all subjective considerations, acuity of his cognition increases manifold. One then realizes the true meaning of the particular topic or word or object, or the true nature of the object. Ancient philosophers and seers used this tool extensively for realizing the truth. Modern science also uses this process to ascertain the ultimate structure of the material universe. In practice of contemplation, we have to take support of two kind of exercise. The first one is the exercise of concentration, contemplation and reflection on a single topic or object. And the second is the exercise using autosuggestion to effect attitudinal change. Contemplation of eternal truth, such as transitoriness, removes the irrational fear by autosuggestion, and this is a kind of a second meditation which we have understood so far. Relaxation and the steadiness of body are essential preconditions in both types of exercise. Now we after taking a overview of what contemplative meditation is, now we would see the philosophical or spiritual base of this particular practice of meditation. In Jain scriptures or in philosophical tradition, it is said that whenever we do some spiritual study, it is an important tool for developing one's intelligence as well as character. It is fivefold. The first is that we do study of some spiritual text or meditational or yoga text, and try to read or understand that particular text by our own way or with the support of some teachers. Second is we make some inquiry by asking questions regarding the topic of our study. And third is revision. By regular recitation of the text, we also get the meaning of the text. In fourth step, we can contemplate whatever we have read and what we have understood by our reading or asking the questions or revision. And the last one is to disseminate. Whatever we have learned, we can also share the same thing with others so that others can also know whatever is given in the particular text or yoga text. So now recitation of syllable as well as concentrated reflection are also branches of the spiritual study. In practice system of meditation, the technique which is more often used is concentration of perception and not that of thought. Concentration of thought, that is contemplation, however, is not excluded as a technique of meditation from this system. In fact, it is considered as an important means of realizing the truth. Thoughts are not always looked upon as hindrance or interference. They are no doubt unproductive when the mind keeps on wandering and does not concentrate. Concentrated, profound thinking can result in discovering and establishing important philosophical as well as scientific doctrines and principles. Process of channelized deep thinking has always been a powerful means of discovering various facets of reality. In spiritual literature, it is called Vichai meditation. It means thought-oriented or conceptual meditation. With a wandering mind, thoughts are scattered. When the mental faculty is concentrated and channelized in a single thought process, it becomes meditation. Thus, concentration of perception and concentration of thought both qualify as valuable techniques of meditation. Whenever the former technique of meditation, thought is undoubtedly considered a distraction and is vanished, but when thoughts are channelized and concentrated on a single topic or object, they comprise an exercise in meditation. In Praksha meditation system, there is scope for both types of meditation. The word Praksha means profound perception. Here the practitioner's full attention is engaged in perception of an object or phenomenon. For instance, perception of body is an exercise of becoming mentally aware of the functioning of one's own body. In this meditation, the practitioner concentrates his full attention and turn on various parts and organs of the body and becomes aware of their functioning. Starting from the outermost layers, he has to mentally penetrate inside. First, he perceives the superficial sensations of the skin, such as contact with cloth, warmth, perspiration, itching, etc. Then he becomes aware of the sensations produced by the muscular system. Next, he experiences the awareness of the functioning of inner organs. He hears the heartbeats, perceives the contraction and expansion of the lungs, etc., coursing of the blood in blood vessels, and exchange of nutrients and waste products. With practice, as his mind becomes sharpened, he becomes aware of the subtle vibrations caused by the chemical reaction of the metabolic processes, as well as the electromagnetic impulses crisscrossing the nervous system. Finally, he is able to perceive the flow of vital energy which activates the entire organism. There is a incessant motion producing agitation, sensation and vibrations everywhere, and nothing is static. The practitioner just perceives them all without indulging in emotion and thought. Undoubtedly, he must develop his perceptual ability and intensify his concentration on the organ under observation. But the process is mostly without conceptual activity of the mind. Thus, praksha is concentration of perception. The other branch of praksha system is anupraksha, that is contemplation, objective reflection of what has been perceived during the meditation of concentrated perception. For instance, it has been revealed that there is incessant agitation within the body. Food materials are being broken down into their simpler constituents and then resynthesized. Waste products are constantly being excreted. Millions of molecules of oxygen enter the body and those of carbon dioxide are expelled. Having perceived this continuous process of fissions and fusion, one contemplates and reflects that this organism is surely not eternal. He reasons with himself, this body, which I consider to be myself, is in fact the product of the processes of metabolism, catabolism, and anabolism. It can never be permanent or eternal and therefore cannot be my true self. Thus, one realizes the truth that the body is perishable and ultimately experiences the separateness of his eternal conscious self and from the perishable body. In other words, the basic vulnerability of the material body is realized by exercise of contemplation, which has followed that of perception. This is an instance of discursive meditation where the result of direct perception leads one to the actual experiencing of an eternal truth, and that is the perishable material body is separate from one's eternal conscious self. Hence, praksha and anupraksha, perception and contemplation are concomitant. One cannot continue perception alone forever, nor can one continue to contemplate forever. Contemplation precedes as well as succeeds perception. Perceive first and then reflect on the findings of the perceptual truth. The objective of praksha meditation is to realize the truth by utilizing both mental functions, which are perception and conception. In Praksha meditation system, contemplative meditation is practiced to eliminate false traditions, myths, legends, and superstitions. With the prefix anu, praksha means perceive only what is really true. That means perceive without the prejudice of preconceived opinion, false tradition, or mythical and fictitious ideas. Perceive the reality as it is. A practitioner of anupraksha transcends the dogma of superstitious traditions, and acquires eternal wisdom. Some examples of contemplation are: the first is transitoriness. One's deep attachment to one's body is a delusion. It is an eternal truth that man is mortal. One has to die and leave the dead body behind. The nature of the body is therefore perishable, impermanent, and transient. Even during one's lifespan, the body is vulnerable to the degenerative processes and passes through various stages. The transitory nature of the body irrefutable proves that it can never be one's true self, which is eternal. Although apparently possessed by me, it is only a material shell and not the self. Similarly, the transitory nature of other material possessions can be contemplated, and one's delusive attachment to them is terminated, or at least reduced. The second important contemplation is contemplation of helplessness. The eternal truth is that when one dies, he leaves behind not only one's body but also one's family, estate, and all other material possessions. Nothing can save one from the jaws of death. One can be a sovereign, a minister, or a rich person. One has to seek refuge in divine help. The third important contemplation is mundaneness. The eternal truth is that one's mundane existence is utterly miserable. One is born, dies, and is reborn, sometimes as a human being, but more often as a subhuman organism. The worldly existence is thus a vicious circle of birth, death, and rebirth. During one's lifetime, there is more misery and suffering than pleasure or peace. One has only to contemplate calmly on this eternal wisdom to realize the miserable nature of one's mundane existence. The fourth important contemplation is solitariness. The truth is that one's existence is utterly solitary. One enters the world alone and leaves it alone. It is one's delusive attachment that makes one feel otherwise. One is really solitary in health and solitary in sickness. By contemplation of this reality, one realizes that one is alone, single, and separate from all others. One's instincts and impulses, emotions, and passions are essentially subjective. The fifth important contemplation is separateness. In reality, one is separate from everything and everybody. One's own material body is but a transitory association and not one's real self. Hence, anything material is also transitorily associated. Pleasure and pain, health and sickness, emotions and passions are separate from one's self. Carnal desires and sensual pleasures are also separate in reality. Uncleanliness is the sixth contemplation which we have to understand, and this uncleanliness belongs to our body. In reality, one's body is a dirty, filthy, and unclean organism. It needs continuous cleaning. as it constantly excretes filthy waste products and metabolism. Perspiration, urine, and excreta all give out obnoxious smell, and one has to use nicely scented cosmetics to hide the odor. The best dinner instantly becomes foul smelling if vomit is thrown up even within few minutes after its indigestion. Such contemplation makes one to realize the eternal truth and frees one from the delusive attachment to all the body and its supportive things. Now we would see that whenever we contemplate on some truth, we are not just contemplating, but we are also trying to make it the part of our life, or we want to implement the main uh, purpose of such kind of meditation into our day-to-day behavior. So in that objective, in that to achieve that objective, we are using the process of autosuggestion with contemplation. So the autosuggestion is known as bhavana in technical term in praksha meditation system. And why we should use this bhavana, and what is the importance of using this kind of particular exercise to implement the truth into our day-to-day life and behavior. One uses a ferry boat to cross the river and reach the other side. Similarly, one can ride the ferry boat of autosuggestion to cross the river of mundane existence and reach the opposite bank, however distant it may appear to be. Autosuggestion is a kind of a frequent and prolonged repetition of an idea, just as the efficacy of a herbal medicine can be raised manifold by applying repeated thin layers of a precious mineral. Repetition of an idea can bring about a radical attitudinal reform and bring one nearer to his goal. The sage Patanjali of 2nd century in his Ashtanga Yoga, that is known Eightfold Yoga, has prescribed 3 stages of meditational practice. And they are dharana, it means a single point thinking, dhyan, meditation, and third is samadhi, that is euphoric meditation. In praksha meditation system also we find 3 types of meditational practices, and they are known as bhavana, dhyan, and samadhi. There is no basic difference between dhyan and bhavana. It means meditation and autosuggestion. Dharana, as Patanjali has defined, means a fully controlled mental exercise, and it is on particular single object or idea. When such an exercise is prolonged and profound, it becomes meditation. And when it takes the form of a euphoric trance, it is called samadhi. Thus, the same process is prescribed as a 3-tiered exercise. Bhavana means conceptual concentration. That is when one focuses on a single object or idea, it becomes bhavana. Thus, bhavana may be defined as intense concentration of mind on a single object or idea. The mental faculty or function which is directed to conscious and intentional action is called will. If one applies one's willpower with a resolute determination that something shall be done or shall happen, it will happen. Full concentration of mental faculty coupled with intense feeling results in the fulfillment of the desired objective. In other words, repeated willing by autosuggestion by a practitioner of contemplative meditation enables him to achieve a desired objective. In his objective is to effect an attitudinal change. He does bring about the change, whether one's goal is spiritual or not. The exercise of autosuggestion positively accomplished the desired transformation. Suggestion can also be transmitted to others. It means another person could be profoundly influenced by a practitioner's suggestion. By using the technique of hypnogenesis, one can elevate or remove suffering of others and cure diseases, bring about a mental or an emotional change in them. Thus, autosuggestion is a multiform therapy. It can take the form of autosuggestion of self-hypnosis and effect one's own transformation, or it can be projected and bring about a desired change in a person or in the environment. It can take various other forms. Practice of autosuggestion or bhavana has a significant application in the ethical field. As stated earlier, one can achieve permanent attitudinal change by this practice. Negative attitudes such as jealousy or pessimism can be replaced by positive ones. Hastily instincts such as cruelty, retaliation, deceit, fear, lust, etc. can be eradicated, and human virtues such as compassion, forbearance, honesty, freedom from irrational fear, concomitance, etc. can be developed. Two conditions are essential for the success of the exercise, and they are totally relaxed and motionless body posture with a channelized mental concentration, and second is intense willing in the form of steady repetition of the desired aim. Repeated autosuggestion reinforces the willpower and brings about desired result. So in this way, in this particular talk, we have tried to understand what is contemplative meditation, and we have learned that it is a thought process which is channelized in particular one direction, focusing on particular idea or an object. And in this particular meditation, whenever we arrive to some reality, we also want to implement that truth in our day-to-day behavior and life. Then we take the support of autosuggestion, in which we repeat the same truth again and again mentally and also verbally to implement that truth into our day-to-day life, to bring a radical transformation in our attitude which was wrong before. So in this way, we have learned that contemplative meditation and autosuggestion can bring desired change in our personality, in our attitude, in our behavior, and overall in our life, and can make the life more qualitative and peaceful and harmonious. So with this, I would conclude my discussion, and I would like to say some of the benefits of this particular practice of meditation, which is contemplative meditation, and we would see that how these benefits are so important for us to realize. So here we can see that when we practice this contemplative meditation, we get freedom from suffering. Our body passes through various changes with time, and also life Everyone is sometimes happy and at other times miserable, at times healthy and sometimes sick, sometimes young and sometimes old. However, there are three chief miseries: sickness, old age, and death. Whenever one is sick, one suffers the misery of sickness. Normally, a state of disease is a painful one for everybody. Some scientists are engaged in research to eliminate suffering during sickness. Painkiller drugs are administered to alleviate pain during sickness. Some derivatives of opium, like morphine, are commonly used as painkillers, and every year, sale value of such painkillers amounts to millions of dollars. People buy them for headache, stomach ache, pain in joints and knees, and continue to consume such drugs, hoping to eliminate their suffering. A varieties of therapies and remedies have been developed for curing the illness and or getting rid of the suffering. Psychological research claims that in the next 10 or 20 years, we shall discover a mental exercise and give such training to the sick that it would be possible to live with the illness without suffering, even without drugs. It has been well established recently that chemical substances having the same effect as powerful painkillers, such as morphine, are secreted by certain parts of the brain. One of them is called endorphin, meaning the internal morphine. A technique of meditation in the system of praksha meditation is called perception of psychic centers. By practicing this meditation, one can develop the ability to produce such internal chemicals at will and block out the pain. Another form of psychotherapy has also been established in the system of praksha meditation, by which a practitioner can remain calm and composed even in the state of serious illness. Moreover, he can experience mental happiness without any drugs. That one can remain happy even when one is in even when one is in severe pain, may appear to be anomalous, but it is true. By practice of contemplative meditation or anupreksha, a patient can free himself from fear, anxiety, and tension. By regular practice of fearlessness, a practitioner can remain free from fear and anxiety so that he suffers only a small fraction of the pain. In a state of irrational fear and anxiety, the pain is magnified, while in the opposite state, the pain is almost killed and there is very little suffering. It is our emotional and mental state that increases or reduces our suffering. An important benefit of contemplation is development of the virtue of fearlessness and thereby free from anxiety and tension. Second benefit which we get out of this contemplative meditation is attainment of bliss, though it is common about all different meditations too. One of the most important benefits of the practice of contemplation is the attainment of the state of bliss and blessedness. It is considered to be the greatest achievement of a purposeful life. All other achievements seem insignificant when one attains this state. One who is fortunate to obtain various other things, wealth, power, etc., is sometimes found to be helpless and miserable. But one who has attained bliss is never unhappy or miserable. One attains bliss when one is free from physical sickness, mental agony, and emotional malice. Only when one has overcome the trinity of physical, mental, and emotional disorders, one can hope to attain sustained happiness. When one suffers from physical illness, Due to malfunction of a vital organ, one is unhappy with pain and misery. If one is afflicted with a mental disorder such as tension, one becomes agonized and does not have peace for a single moment. In spite of possessing all the comforts of life, one feels quite unhappy. And emotional malacy is even more terrible than a mental malady. Emotional malacy means psychological distortion. Cruelty, fanaticism, militarism, retaliation are some of the psychological distortions. When one suffers from one or more of these, one becomes almost inhuman. Does such acts does not behave a human being. The obstacle of the above evil trinity must be removed before one can attain sustained happiness. Strange as it may appear, one is able to choose one's way of life. Which way shall I adopt? The way of the evil trinity or the way of bliss? A question may be raised: does anybody wish to choose the way of the evil trinity? The answer is: one suffers from the trinity of malacy only if one chooses to do so. An internal driving force produces a desire to become sick and ultimately manifests itself in sickness. The process is overindulgence in food, drink, and sex, anger, greed, and lust. All these are the precursors of sickness. How can one distinguish between the desire for overindulgence in sex, etc., and the desire for going on the path of sickness? In reality, both are identical. If one chooses the other way, one never falls sick. Similarly, one who does not wish to be afflicted with a mental disorder will never suffer from it. This is so because a mental disorder is effective only if an internal desire drives one to the affliction and not otherwise. The mental state of like and dislike, attachment to some and aversion for others are driving forces. In this case, it is difficult to maintain mental health with strong likes and dislikes. Here also one cannot distinguish between the desire for mental disorder and the mental tension produced by like and dislike or attachment and aversion. The same logic applies to emotional malacy, and the root of all evils is greed and discontentment, and this is the basis of one's desire to choose the evil trinity of one's way of life. This means that if one desires to choose the other way of life, he is to overwhelm and subjugate his carnal desires of lust and hate. When one has discarded the path of the evil trinity and adopted the way of bliss, his way of life changes radically. In fact, bliss is not a miracle, nor is it something reserved for a few chosen people. It is a way of life for everyone, and everyone who cares to choose it. One who realizes this truth, this science of life, this art of living, can live a life of sustained happiness and bliss. The doctrine of contemplation is an important part of Praksha meditation system. Once the principle of contemplation and the technique for its practice is fully understood, a powerful tool for changing the way of life is in our hands. The aspirant of bliss by the practice of contemplation becomes aware of the obstacles in the process of attaining bliss, his desire for overindulgence in luxuries, his negative attitude of like and dislike, his psychological distortion, etc., disappear with the subjugation of greed and discontentment. Thus, in the absence of factors which were responsible for generating the evil trinity, the state of bliss is attained. The next benefit which we get out of contemplative meditation is spiritual healing. Practice of autosuggestion will bring about radical attitudinal and behavioral changes. For integrated development of personality, it is necessary to bring about changes in the chemistry of the body, that is the synthesization of various chemical factors in the body which have profound influence on the mental stages and behavioral patterns must be transmuted. These chemical factors are mainly the hormones secreted and distributed by the endocrine system. Exercise of autosuggestion influences the functioning of hypothalamus and pituitary, which in turn produces a strong state of faith and belief, and a strong sense of faith can help a person cope with the various crises that in life countless number of people with sincere religious beliefs and faith become free from serious incurable disease, serious or incurable disease by just touching the feet of saints and sages. Does the miracles life in the dust? No, it is the miracle of faith and religious belief. Thousands find inner calm and peace of mind through faith. Prayer and worship produce profound joy and contentment, nor is it essential to have a specific religious belief. One must merely develop faith in one's own consciousness and psychic self to help one to cope with this crisis by developing underlying mental strength. Exercise of autosuggestion is based on the practical application of faith and belief. The exercise brings about the necessary changes in the body chemistry, thereby weakening the forces of disease and ultimately curing it. The process of producing or transmuting the internal chemicals is a form of faith healing or spiritual healing. In this way, we have learned about contemplative meditation and autosuggestion, and also the benefits from these two types of contemplative meditations or processes. So with this, I open the floor for questions and answer. If something is not clear, anybody can raise the question or also can share some ideas if she has regarding the particular technique of meditation, which is contemplation or autosuggestion. And after the question answer session, we would practice the contemplation for the time being. Thank you very much for your kind attention and patience.